Right. Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kada Mahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritam Syam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuta Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Hare Krishna, welcome back to another, in fact, the final session of Bhagavad Gita in 18 days. So we will quickly revise what we did yesterday. Any volunteers? Satyanand Sao Prabhuji, will you sum up? Prabhuji, I think is not there. Deepika Mataji, will you sum up?
Yes, Maataji. Yesterday we have done the divisions of the faith. Uh, in that chapter, we have most probably learned about the dana and the four main contexts like dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. We have touched up that, and we have heard a beautiful story of Ravana and what is the choice to eat food, austerity, charity in different gunas. Then we have identified the different colors: yellow, green, red. So sorry, yellow, red, and blue. And uh, yeah. And then we have learned understand the concept of Om Tat Sat. Then what is religious thing to do and what not to religious thing to do. Um, yes, Mataji. Like it's Om Tat Sat is a big name, so that divine.
Yes, yes. So basically, Mataji, what we had discussed was that we acquire a certain faith also because of the modes of material religion. What you want to follow, whom we want to worship, all these processes again are influenced by the three modes of material nature. So our entire thinking pattern, thought process is controlled by these three modes, even our faith. So based on our association, different faiths develop. That is the reason a person is not able to surrender to the Lord, because he is not able to give up his own criteria of faith. You can put for faith in anything. Some people put faith in technology, some people put faith in education, some people put their faith in powerful people. But the recommendation of the Bhagavad Gita is that we put our faith only in Supreme Personality of Godhead. And based on our faith, these actions of charity, austerity, sacrifice, they also differ from person to person based on the kind of faith they have acquired due to their uh, association with the modes of material nature. So, today we will do the
Mataji,
Heritage.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna
Prabhu.
Mataji. Yeah, I want to add something here.
Yeah, please, Prabhu.
Yes, yesterday we read about these three words Tat, Sat. So these three words also represent beautiful information which give us to enlighten our life. Like is basically we chant correct in any mantras. It cleans our mind. That is my understanding. And also represent like Brahma, God, or Vishnu. We can say Vasudeva. And when we say Tat, is basically um, Tat Sat. Sat is truth, correct, madam? The Sat is truth, and Tat is basically the word which represent, I think, power, correct, Mataji?
Prabhuji, the meaning of Om Tat Sat
Yes.
is given here.
The the most powerful mantra is correct. Tat Sat. Tat is Supreme Lord.
Yeah, Om
Tat.
Tat Sat, the
Yeah.
Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om is another name used for the Lord.
Yes, Vasudeva.
Yeah, and Tat, eternal. They become the means for spiritual elevation. In the scriptural injunctions, such as an objective, I'll just mute everything. My voice is excellent. Here, they become means for spiritual elevation. In the scriptural injunctions, such as objective is indicated, these three words, Om Tat Sat, particularly indicate the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead. In the Vedic hymns, the word Om is always found because they represent God. So that is why I explained that you have to add God in everything. That's why you see in all our, yagyas or ceremonies, the word Om is used because it represents the supreme personality of Godhead. Like the Lord explained in this like in syllables, I am the word Om. In mountains, I am Meru. When he is describing his opulences, it's not that Lord is Meru mountain. It everything represents him. And especially the word Om is a sound incarnation, what you say. But the Supreme Lord is not just Meru mountain or deepest sea or the taste of water. He is much above that. It is only for our understanding that he says that I am this also, I am, because we cannot comprehend how big God is. So we will now start the final chapter. It is a very, very big chapter. In fact, the biggest chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 2 and chapter 18 are basically in chapter 2, it is kind of a brief summary. And here the entire, again, whatever we have done in Bhagavad Gita so far, that is summed up. Actually, Bhagavad Gita ends in chapter 17 only. Chapter 18 is nothing but the sum up in a sequence, how progression takes place. So we are going to continue now. For your understanding, I will just tell you the breakup of this chapter, because many people get confused, what Lord is talking about. So shloka number 1 to 12, Arjuna is asking question how to do karma yoga. Actually, he asks what is the difference between tyaga and sannyas. What is the difference? So 1 to 12, how to do karma yoga? That is being asked. The first question it starts with. Then 13 to 18, we have the Gyana section. How with Gyan we can link to God. 19 to 40, shloka number 19 to 40, the three modes of material nature are discussed. This is one of the biggest sections. Then 41 to 48, how to worship Krishna through work. So first it starts with an inquiry about karma yoga, and with our respective work, how we can know that we are serving Krishna. Then 49 to 55 is from progression from Gyana to Brahma-Bhutah stage. Gradually, when we get more purified and we are in knowledge, then we understand that we are Atma. And Brahma-Bhutah state means it is a state where you are free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. That is the Brahma-Bhutah stage. 56 to 66 is all about attaining devotional service, devotion of the Lord. This is the final crux matter of the Bhagavad Gita. 67 to 78, Arjuna transforms after hearing Bhagavad Gita. He becomes Krishna's instrument. So 67 to 78 is like surrender of Arjuna. Now he's completely transformed. His weakness of heart, everything has disappeared. And how after hearing Bhagavad Gita, he gets transformed. So we will start the chapter. So first, it starts with an inquiry by Arjuna. We will recite the first shloka. Since this chapter is pretty large, we will try and, cover it fast. Arjuna vacha sannyasasya mahabaho tattvam ichchami veditam tyagasya cha rishikesha prathakkeshi nishuddhana. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa, O killer of Kesi demon, master of the senses. So renunciation, giving up the fruits of one's work. So what is the goal of renunciation and renounced order of life? Should one work while remaining detached from the fruit of work, that is nishkam karma, or should one renounce activities to perform Gyana yoga? So in the karma yoga section, Arjuna is asking for more clarity now. Should we perform detached work, or we must give up activity altogether? Renunciation, Arjuna understood that giving up of activity. Even after hearing so much, Arjuna is unclear. So much. So when Lord has used these two terms in his statements earlier in all the chapters, so Arjuna wants to now be very clear. 2. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, The giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men called renounced order. It's not that a sannyasi will not have activity. At no time the soul can remain in a idle. The nature of the soul is to be dynamic, always gatishil. It is always, it needs engagement. That is the nature of the soul. So you cannot give up activities. You can't even give up desires. But you have to give up the activities which are based on material desires. What is the difference? Material desires means I want to enjoy, I am the enjoyer. And what do you mean by spiritual desires? In alignment with Krishna's desire, I am a servant of Krishna and my business is to carry out his order or fulfill his desire. The only transformation, Arjun is the same person, he has the same eyes, same nose, same hands, legs, but what is it that changes in his uh, body which makes him a different person at the end of Bhagavad Gita? It is his consciousness. The consciousness which has now transformed from the mentality that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, and whatever activity I undertake is for my happiness. That is why he refused to fight, because he thought that killing his own relatives is not going to give him happiness. But the purpose of a renounced order, or even for that matter sannyasis, to give happiness to Rishikesha. Because just like you water the root of a tree and all the parts, they get nourishment, like that, even when we want happiness in life, the right process is to water Lord Krishna's desire. Samsiddhir haritoshanam. This is the purpose of human life. And here, Arjuna, all the time, our decisions are, motivation is based on what will I get in return. And this aspect has to be removed. You should perform your duty, but without any selfish desire. 3. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. So Krishna is saying some people are opinionated like that, and some people are opinionated otherwise. Some say you must give up, especially people who are in the impersonal conception of the Lord. They are very fearful of activities, especially. They say just give up everything and proceed to the forest. So, but a purified state of mind is free of fear of every kind. It is a higher state of mind where the devotee thinks that, I will do Lord's work no matter what the consequences are. Even if I rot in hell and I have to face miseries, I will still do what makes the Lord happy, just like the gopis. I gave you the example that once I think Narad Muni, he says, I am your best devotee. And the Lord says, I'll put to test, who is my best devotee. And he says, I have a headache. You go to all my devotees and you tell them that I need to put the charan dhuli, the dust of the feet of devotees on my forehead to get relief. Nobody gives that dust of feet. to Narad Muni, because everybody is fearful of rotting in hell. Because if you give your own, feet ka, dust, you will incur so much sin. How can you put? So, but the gopis, as soon as he says, they immediately give. And Narad Muni asked them, aren't you scared? You will be put into hellish life. They say, no, we are ready to go through hell for pleasure of Krishna. So selflessness, so much selflessness is there. So, 4, O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. Yes, there are a lot of arguments about it, the Lord says, but he is now going to declare to Arjuna what is the best, because he is concluding. Please see the progression of the yoga ladder in chapter 18. Right from animalistic life to a regulated life to sakam karma, then nishkam karma yoga, and then gyan, knowledge will come. So see how it is progressing. The 3 kinds of renunciation are based on the 3 modes of material nature. Krishna will describe them in text 7 to 12. Arjuna inquired about the difference between Tyaga and Sannyasa, and Krishna in reply mentioned 3 types of Tyaga. The Lord will now continue with his definitive answer to Arjuna's inquiry. So, the Lord says in shloka number 5 that Dan Tap Yajna. So, sacrifice, charity, penance are not to be given up. This is summed up in Bhagavad Gita. So, people who are preaching, anywhere you have a confusion that whether the authenticity of the knowledge you are getting is correct or not, one must always refer to Guru Sadhu Shastra. They must be aligned with the Shastra. And here we have the shloka, which clearly says that Dan Tap Yag should not be given up at any stage in life. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. Even when you have become Mahatma, you should not give up these 3 activities. Krishna's conclusion is positive advice. Everyone should perform these activities. Perform them from purity of your heart and set a good example. If the Mahajanas give up these activities and go and sit in the jungle, what will the future generation take example from? What kind of an example will they set? Carelessness? Renunciation doesn't mean carelessness. One should be a responsible person. He should set good example in the society. So all these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. Whenever you are performing any action for your own selfish desire, it is contaminated broadly. Activities in Sattva Gun should be selfless. The progression of the 4 varnas also is based on this principle. The Shudra works only for his benefit. He will do any kind of work so that he gets money in return. When Vaishyas, there is more progression. They become more selfless. They work for the community, for welfare of others. You see, Vaishyas undertake activities like cow protection, temple, making temple. They finance all these. They earn money and they finance. And then you have Kshatriyas. They are even more selfless. For broader section of society, country, they lay down their lives to protect everybody else. We are sleeping in our houses, but soldiers are so selflessly, protecting us. They are more selfless. And most selfless is the Brahmana. So one has to come to the platform of Brahmana to understand what God is. And here, that is what the entire Bhagavad Gita is all about. So here now we come to shloka number 7. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. So how we progress? First, we come from animalistic life to sakam karma. Anybody cannot abruptly come to, uh, this detached work suddenly. So gradual process is there. That is the pravritti mark as per Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you have the nivritti mark where you right take, straight away take to devotional service of the Lord. So prescribed duties should never be renounced because they are for our purification. How will you understand how to work as per the will of God through Varnashrama Dharma? So the entire Varnashrama Dharma is designed based on the principle of pleasing the Lord by, transcending these three modes. Gradually, when you do your prescribed duties, you get purified. When you get purified, then you are ready to take knowledge. Without purification, you will not understand anything because the modes are so strong. Renouncing prescribed duties because of illusion results in further illusion. Now, this renouncing, how this renouncing also is affected by the three modes of material nature. So that the Lord is describing. Renouncing prescribed duties because of illusion results in further more illusion. This is in the mode of ignorance. So if somebody suddenly, I'm fed up of my duties, they are not very, helpful. He just runs away from his prescribed duties according to Varna and Ashram out of illusion. That is in the mode of ignorance. It will yield more miseries. So renouncing prescribed duties because of illusion results in further illusion, more misery. 8. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to elevation of renunciation. It is not helpful. Sometimes you see, out of discomfort, it's not very pleasurable. Array, so much work, physical work, I'm scorching in the kitchen. You see, um, uh, for example, the mother is there, whether it is the month of December or it is May, when it is so hot, it is so difficult even to, stand near the stove. But Grahani, she will never give up her duties. Will she say, no, I'm not going to cook in summer? One has to perform one's duty. Another example we can give of this is, the wife of Surya Dev. Surya Dev's wife's her name was Sandhya. And by nature, both were a contrast. And when Sandhya got married to Surya Dev, his tej, his glitter and the heat and light from his body, it was so uncomfortable for her that, after giving birth to two children, Yam and Yummy, she goes to her father's house and she does not want to come back. So what she does, she makes a chaya, a reflection of her own, and instead of her, she sends him to Surya Dev. And Surya Dev always thinks that this is my wife. But this chaya, she's not nice to Yam and Yami. Yam is Yamraj, Yami is Yamuna river. And in this course of time, she has Shani Dev also. She has her own children also. But she is partial to Shani Dev, and she doesn't treat Yam and Yami too well. That one fine day, they leave the house and go away. Yamuna comes down and Yamraj goes to Yamlok. So that is why Shanidev is actually born out of, deceit. That is why he is very angry. The state of mind that the parents are determines how the child will be at the time of conception. So later he comes to know, Surya Dev, that this is not my wife, and then he goes and gets her back. But you see what this kind of, she becomes a mare, when her father comes to know that my daughter is here and she doesn't want to be with her. She runs away from there also. She goes to the forest, she becomes a mare, a horse, female horse, and she performs penance for her purification. So this kind of renunciation is in the mode of passion. It will yield misery for you and others. So this is the same opinion Krishna expressed about, sacrifices. So, O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty and only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. So, you are not supposed to renounce work. You are supposed to renounce the attachment to the fruits of work. So, this is the correct renunciation. You must do your prescribed duty without thinking what I will get in return. This is the process of purification. 10. The intelligent renouncer situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubt about his work. He perfectly understands that this is the design of God, and as per my specific varna and ashram, I have to perform these duties. A person who is in mode of goodness is determined to act properly. He neither hates nor loves to do anything. He just does it as a matter of duty. 11. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. So what is actually tyaga, renunciation? Is that you have renounced the fruits of your action and given they are just doing it because God wants you to do it. That's all. 12. For one who is not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. A person who doesn't do this, who doesn't renounce the fruits of, how do you renounce the fruits of your action? Dan, tap, yajna. So you are supposed to just renounce, accrue after death, but those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. So broadly, he is saying that people who have renounced the fruit of their results are actually actual sannyasis. So those attached to sense enjoyment achieve varied results after death from the activities they have performed. In contrast, the tyagi, fixed in knowledge, attains liberation. We would note that the words Krishna has again used, sannyasa and tyaga, to emphasize that they are synonymous. Thus, Krishna has again established that the superior method of becoming free from the reaction of work is nishkam karma. So one must perform one's duty, renouncing fruits of work, not the work itself. Very clearly stated. Now here, once you have purified, after performing your prescribed duties, you are now eligible to gain knowledge, Gyana. Gyana is a technical way of analyzing the matter and spirit. So from here, shloka number 30, the Gyana section starts. O mighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are five cause for accomplishment of action. Now learn these from me. Now he is going to technically break down, give the technical reason why an action takes place. 14. The place of action, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the five factors of action. So this, the field of activity, the doer, the various senses, which provide the motivation to perform that activity, and the endeavor. The endeavor is the activity which we actually undertake. And all these, the super soul, who gives the sanction? The living entity desires, and it is either sanctioned or rejected by God. It is either sanctioned or rejected by God. So if the Lord does not sanction, that activity will not take place. The Lord asks the material nature to give the facility if the desire is material. If the desire is not material, the Lord asks his internal potency to create a facility for that jiva to come up to him. She will provide the necessary association. But the desire, uh, the jiva's desire is based on his past association. That is why we see association plays a vital role in transforming our consciousness. What we associate with will decide what our destiny will be. 15. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these five factors. So, the karmendriyas, by the mind is a subtle sense, or speech. So we perform various actions. We perform actions by our body, by our physical gross body. We perform action by mind also. Anything that manifests as activities actually first processed as a thought in our mind. In Satyuga, even by thinking of committing a sin, you would be punished. But in Kali Yuga, Lord is very liberal. Unless and until the gross activity comes, because the mind is so polluted here, you don't get a reaction just by thinking. But actually, even thinking, of any sinful activity is condemned. Or speech, by mind, body, or speech with your tongue, is caused by these five factors. So what are the factors? The body, the performer, that is the Atma, the various senses, and many different kinds of endeavor, and the Lord as the sanctioner. 16. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the five factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. He cannot see how the modes are working, under what influence his senses have acquired a certain taste, why he is getting attracted to certain thing, which become the basis of his endeavor. This understanding is not there in that person. He just behaves on the gross level. So 17, one who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in the world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions. So the doer is the person who desires. When you are fulfilling Lord's desire, the Lord is taking responsibility. When you are fulfilling your own selfish desire, you have to take responsibility. So an intelligent person, he works on behalf of the Lord. He does not want to, get entangled further. Just like if you are, going and killing soldiers on the battlefield for, order of the government, you will get medals because the government is taking responsibility. You are allowed, you are given a very sophisticated gun also to kill the enemies. All facilities are provided. But at the same time, because of your personal enmity, if you go and kill your neighbor, you will be punished. So, who is taking the responsibility is important. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his action. So, 18. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower, the three factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the three constituents of action. So we have already discussed in Gyanam, Neyam, the 6 questions which Arjuna asked in chapter 3. In this we have learned that who is Purush, who is Prakriti, what is the field of activities, who is the knower of that field, what is knowledge, and what is the object of knowledge. We have already covered this aspect in chapter number 13. And here ends, at this shloka, ends the Gyana section, which was covered in Bhagavad Gita. So when you have finished performing your prescribed duties, then you are sufficiently purified to understand this difference between matter and spirit and the cause of our activity. So after Karma Yoga comes Jnana Yoga. Now, just by knowing what is the cause of action, what is not the cause of our action, that is not enough to connect us to God. So, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga we have covered so far. Now we will understand how this knowledge, how our actions are influenced by the three modes of material nature. From here, the discussion, this is the almost biggest part of this chapter. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. So they are all influenced by so we think that we are doing, but we are doing a certain thing because of the influence of these modes, which are unseen by us. So a person in knowledge can clearly see this person is in association of tamogun. That is why he is behaving like this. His choices are different. He can differentiate. After gaining knowledge, there is a clear clarity in the choices we make. So 20, that knowledge, now the Lord will explain the knowledge, action, and performance. These three, how they are influenced by three modes of material nature. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. So what is actual knowledge? Is, being a doctor knowledge? That is, I told you that education broadly comprises of three things. It is knowledge, skill, and values. There are three aspects. So, knowledge is information, and skill, maybe skill can be of so many kinds. Skill in something, that is also, education. And values are realized knowledge. They become a part of our character. So only that knowledge which transforms, and that knowledge which helps you to understand your actual constitutional position is true knowledge. So here that knowledge which by which which one can see undivided spiritual nature in all living entities. So when you are able to see the spark of God in all living entities, that Paramatma is seated in them, with equal vision, that is knowledge in the mode of goodness. And 21, the knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand that to be in the mode of passion. So when we see different life forms and we think, oh, this is a lion, even amongst human beings, they differentiate. More selfishness is there. That means, you are just limited to your own good. That is why you see everybody differently. A person who is selfless will see the spark of God in everyone. He will work. That is why he will be motivated to work for everybody's welfare. So it is in the mode of passion. Mentality has changed. 22, and that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Animalistic life, eating, sleeping, fearing, mating. About that, no question of knowledge. Now the Lord will explain to us the three types of action, how they are influenced by the three modes of material nature. That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness. I like this, I don't like this. But now the education is that do what you like, as you like, don't be worried. There is no regulation of action. And when there is no regulation of action, that is in the form of prescribed duties, there is no question of getting knowledge because you are not purified enough. So this kind of action is recommended, which is without love or hatred, without desire for fruitive result, is said to be in the mode of goodness. Regulated occupational duties as prescribed in the scriptures in terms of different orders and divisions of society performed without attachment or proprietary rights, and therefore without any love or hatred, and performed in Krishna consciousness for satisfaction of the Supreme without self-satisfaction or self-gratification are called actions in the mode of goodness. Now you see, in so many countries, these prescribed duties have been given up. The Varnashrama Dharma or regulated prescribed duties has been forgotten. And what is the result? They don't even have population. They are inviting immigrants because the younger population is not coming and the existing population is getting old. And that is why Srila Prabhupada said, wherever there is no Varnashrama, that country is finished today or tomorrow. Because your buildings, your factories don't make a country. It is the people, the praja, who make a country or a society. And when this regulated form of living is absent, they will finish themselves. I gave you the example, that uh, uh, have you seen any other species of life on our planet who have finished their own race with advancement? So our so-called advancement, wherein we have freedom to, abort children, we have reason to marry or not to marry, or we have the freedom to uh, follow our prescribed. So then this discipline is lost when prescribed duties are not performed. Then the country is finished, because no order is taking responsibility of the other. Everybody wants to work only selfishly for their own good. 24. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. So when you work selfishly, that is in mode of passion for your own sense gratification. 25. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Whimsically done, carelessly, to harm others and yourself, that is in the mode of ignorance. And all sinful activities come under this category. All the sinful activities, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling, and impurity, uncleanliness. So one who performs his duty without association with the modes of nature, please note this, without being influenced by the modes of material nature. These modes of material nature are responsible for our likes and dislikes. They are responsible for the kind of faith we acquire. So a person who performs his duty, whether he likes, whether he doesn't like, whether it is auspicious, whether it is this dualistic nature is due to our corrupted mentality. Everything is pure in association of God. Without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. Whether he fails, like Jata, when he fought, he saw that Ravana was kidnapping Mother Sita. Uh, he just thought, that this is wrong. I have to, somehow, though he's not capable, he's very old and he's a bird, low-born bird, but he gives a fight. He doesn't bother what I will get in return. Why should I go and fight with Ravana? He's so powerful. I will get killed. Will I get something to eat? Will I live? No. Something going wrong as per your acquired quality based on Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasya. The entire Varnashrama system is not a caste system. Guna Karma Vibhagasya. It is based on the quality you have acquired and your inclination and activity. It is based on that, because everybody is not inclined to the same kind of work. Everybody has a different nature and they must be engaged in work accordingly. If they are not engaged, then the soul cannot remain idle. They will engage in sinful work. So it is better that they be engaged in work as per their inclination instead of committing sinful activities. So Srila Prabhupada again equates spiritual consciousness and the modes of goodness in this purpose. A person in Krishna consciousness is always transcendental to the material modes of nature. Why devotional service is transcendental? Because whatever we are doing for God. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Marchanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedana. He is giving a comparison. So that is why we see that devotional service, all these activities, they are beyond the material modes because they are not performed for any selfish desire, motivation. Because he is above false ego and pride. Still, he is always enthusiastic till the completion of such work. 27. The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. 28. The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scriptures, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. So how these different modes of material nature influence every aspect of our life, and we can't see it. We think we are doers, but actually these modes of material nature are forcing us to behave in that way. Our likes, dislikes, aversion, attraction are all controlled. 29. O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail the different kinds of understanding and determination. So understanding and determination of a person are also influenced by these three modes. O son of Pratha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, that is, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. When a person comes to this understanding, he is in the mode of goodness. O 31, O son of Pratha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. So even action is influenced by these modes. 32, that understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction, O Partha, is in the mode of ignorance. He will never even come to know that he is wrong. His understanding will be so corrupted. Just like Ravana, everybody told him. In the Shastra, it is not sanctioned that you go and kidnap somebody's wife. Vinashakale viprita buddhi. Understanding will be lost. 33. O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determined in the mode of goodness. Yoga practice. What is yoga? Yoga means linking oneself to God. That is yoga. So, any activity which is done for the purpose of linking oneself to the Lord with great determination is in the mode of goodness. 34. But that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. When this is the sphere of your activities, you are in the mode of passion. That is why the Karma Kanda section of and the Gyana Kanda section of the Vedas has to be transcended. Neither the Karma Kand will help you to, get out of the cycle of birth and or death, or the Gyana Kand also. If you know the difference between matter, spirit, you know technicality also, you will know where to go. But the process is devotional service. And 35, and that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such unintelligent determination, O son of Pratha, is in the mode of darkness. So now after this, Krishna is describing happiness of different kinds. O best of Bhartas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. 37, that which in the beginning may just be like poison, but at the end just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mood of goodness. So we see that sometimes, when we perform devotional service and the rules and regulations, they seem like a big burden initially, but gradually what we see is that, uh, you know, uh, later on we start experiencing so much happiness. 38, the happiness which is derived from contact of senses with their objects and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be the nature of passion. So we get happiness as soon as our senses get their respective sense objects, we are happy. We want to see a cinema and we have seen it. We have seen that cinema. We feel happy temporarily. As soon as we come out of the theater, again the problems of life, they begin. So when this temporary kind of happiness and such activities attract us, then our happiness is in the mode of passion. It is, we are doing that activity because the influence of the mode of passion. 39, and that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from the beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be in the nature of ignorance. Kumbhakarna, he is happy sleeping, he is happy eating, he has no concern for self-realization, or he doesn't even have the idea that he is in filth. This is happiness in mode of ignorance. And here at shloka number 40, the discussion about the three modes of material nature ends. So after gaining knowledge, we understand that we are constantly under the control of these three modes of material nature, and then we make choices carefully. We have further progressed. So actually karma yoga plus jnana yoga, working first without fruits, then working, getting knowledge, and then working in knowledge, is bhakti yoga. So there is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary system which is freed from these three modes of material nature, uh, born of material nature. So we have 14 planetary systems. I have explained that to you. In fact, even our planetary systems are based on these three modes of material nature. The lower planetary systems are designed for people in the mode of ignorance. The middle planets are designed for people in the mode of passion, who desire fruitive results. And the topmost planets, Swargaloka, Brahma-Loka, Tapaloka, uh, you know, uh, Pitraloka, all these are for people in the mode of goodness. So when we work in mode of goodness, we follow our prescribed duties, we do pious activities, and we are situated in the mode of goodness at the time of our death, we go to these higher planets. If we are situated in thinking about some fruitive action at the time of death, we again come back to the middle portion based on our past desire and activity. And if we are thinking about sinful things at the time of our death, so we go to these lower planetary system, especially animal life, where the thinking capacity just shrinks down. And it's very difficult for us to, come back to this intellect of differentiating. 41. So now how can we worship Krishna through work? That is, described in this section. The section of the three modes of material nature has ended here. From 41 to 48, worship Krishna through work. How can we worship? They always say, um, work is worship, work is worship. But how is it worship? Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of enemies. I have already explained to you. Shudras are purely in mode of ignorance. Vaishyas are a mixture. They are a mixture of mode of ignorance and mode of passion. And Kshatriyas are a mixture of mode of passion and mode of goodness. Whereas Brahmanas are situated in pure, just goodness. Pure goodness is Shuddha Sattva, which is beyond the modes of material nature. 42. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So what happens when we, work according to our acquired nature? So these qualities, they differentiate the influences of material nature on us. So we can differentiate. So peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, these are qualities which Brahmanas have. And whatever activities they do with these qualities, they purify, most pure, at least on the material platform. 43. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are natural qualities of work for Kshatriyas. They have these qualities, the Kshatriyas, because of the influence of Rajoguna and Sattva. 44. Farming, cow protection, and businesses are natural work for Vaishyas, and for the Shudras, there is labor and service to others. So the Vaishyas, they take up community welfare, they earn money through businesses, and this is natural for Vaishya. So one should engage in some work. If he is not sufficiently purified, he should do his prescribed duties as per the nature he has acquired. By following these qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. So if you follow the Varnashrama system, you will gradually get perfect. How will you get perfect? What is the ultimate perfection? To get out of the cycle of birth and death. This is perfection. Get out of the clutches of these three modes of material nature. So what is the way? So from here on, 49 to 55, the devotional service will start. This is knowledge in practice, actually. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. So, Srila Prabhupada elaborates on how one's work, although within the modes of material nature, can be practically turned into bhakti through Nishkama Karma Yoga. Everyone should think that he is engaged in a particular type of occupation by Rishikesha. So, the thinking pattern has to change. We must perform work thinking that this is what God has designed for me and I have to do it. And by the result of the work in which one is engaged, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, should be worshipped. So, by all means, whether you are a Shudra, you are a Vaishya, you are a Kshatriya, the goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why are we working? Why are we performing this work? We must understand. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, because Rishikesha is the master of all senses. And work is always performed to satisfy these senses. These senses can be our own selfish senses, impure senses, or they can be the pure senses of God, Rishikesha, who is the original master of all senses. That is the meaning of the word Rishikesha. Rishik means senses, Isha means master. So, whenever work is performed for pleasing the Lord, it does not bind. Sri Krishna should be worshipped. If one thinks always in this way, in full Krishna consciousness, then by the grace of the Lord, he becomes fully aware of everything. Fully aware of everything means a person who knows Krishna actually knows everything. Because in the Virat Swarup, Lord has said, everything is me. Whatever you see, the demigods, the planetary systems, he shows everything. So if a person knows Krishna, he knows everything. That is the perfection of life. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham aha samudharta. The Supreme Lord himself takes charge of delivering such a devotee. Then the responsibility is not yours. When you are working for the Lord, it is his responsibility to take you out of the cycle of birth and death. You don't even need to worry. That is why devotees are never worried. They'll go to hell or heaven because they know Krishna is in charge, he will take care. He will put me in hell, I will work there. If he puts me in heaven, there also I have to work for him there. If he takes me to Vaikuntha, very good. I have to work for him there also. So for him, it doesn't matter. 47. It is better to engage in one's own occupation even though one may perform it imperfectly than to accept another occupation and perform it perfectly. This is especially for Arjuna because he wants to give up his duties as a Kshatriya and he wants to get into the renounced order, that is sannyasa. This is not at all recommended. One must work according to one's acquired nature. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. So when you work like this, then you will be out of sinful reaction because you are following the system which is prescribed by God himself. Varnashrama dharma is designed by Lord himself. 48. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, such as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up work born of his nature. O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. We all make mistakes, that is human nature. But we must perform one's duty as per our nature, Varna and Ashram. This is responsible work. You see, when Arjuna tells Lord Krishna that, one of the reasons for not fighting the battle is Varna Sankara will be born. When there are so many widows, they will be polluted, and the children born out of this, like nobody will take the responsibility. And the children who are born like that, they are irresponsible. Varna Sankara means irresponsible. They will not take any responsibility, neither for the brahmacharis, neither for the vanapras. So you see, the society will be damaged. In fact, it will be finished. When you don't follow the varnashrama, the system of marriage is gone. So taking care of the children, if children are born out of wedlock, nobody loves them. Nobody, so they just grow up, and they grow up to be more irresponsible. They don't want to take responsibility. There's many people, they want to enjoy the world, but they don't want to take responsibility of wife, children, old people. So now there is a facility for everything. For There is a baby care center for children, there is an old age home for elders, because the population will be so selfishly motivated, they will not work for anybody else except themselves, their own good. No time. So from 49 to 59, we will see progression from Gyana to Brahma-Bhutah stage. Now you are in knowledge, you have started performing Nishkam karma, working without, you know, fruitive desires. Brahma-Bhutah is a stage where you are out of the, modes of material nature, out of the control. How the progression takes place. One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyment can obtain by practice of renunciation the highest perfectional state of freedom from reactions. Is free from reaction. 50, O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain to the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. 51 to 53. So now the Lord says that being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body and mind and power of speech, who is always in trance, and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride and lust, anger and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. So the I am doer, when this concept is gone gradually by your purification, it will then start experiencing happiness from inside, because now you are not expecting anything. You neither lament for what is gone and you are not hankering for something you don't have. Naturally, you will be happy. 54. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. So, once a person realizes this, he gets out of the clutches of the material modes of nature. He transcends the material sky. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Till you are contaminated by grief, or you are lamenting or hankering, you cannot be engaged in the final state, that is the devotional service. A selfish person cannot do anything for anyone else, leave alone, God. One has to be selfless. 55. One can understand me as I am, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can never, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So you have transcended the material sky at this stage. When you are in knowledge, you taste that happiness. But still, there are grades of happiness. There are 5 primary rasas which one experiences in relationship to God. The first is Shanta rasa, is neutral. The 3 modes have neutralized. That is the minimum. You have just entered the Brahma Jyoti or the Brahman. So it is neutrality. You are in a state, you are just, like burden is removed from your head. But there are stages. Then comes Dasyaras. In Dasyaras, there is pleasure of Shantaras, Dasyaras, both higher level of pleasure in relationship to God. Then you have Sakhyaras. You have the pleasure of Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, all the 3. Then you have Vatsalyaras, still higher pleasure. Vatsalyaras has pleasure of Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, and Vatsalyaras also. The highest pleasure you get in Madhuryaras. Madhuryaras has the pleasure of Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhuryaras also. So the degree of pleasure varies. Yes, definitely at the Brahma-Bhutah stage, one experiences pleasure, but low degree. One can understand me as I am, as Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. When one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So now we have to enter. Factually, however, the nature of Lord is human-like form, is Satchidanand. Its becoming visible is simple by influences of the Lord's inconceivable mercy, as is stated in Narayana Dhyatma. Although the Supreme Lord is always unmanifest, he becomes visible by his own energy. Without that energy, who could ever see the Supreme Master, the reservoir of pleasure? So by our efforts, we cannot see God, perceive Him, experience that relationship. It is only when the Lord's mercy is there, then we can see Him clearly. We do experience some happiness by getting free from 3 modes of material nature. But what is the ultimate perfection? In Bhagavad Gita, no relative perfections are entertained. So, getting the mercy of the Lord is samsittir haritushna. Perfection of life is to please the Lord and get His mercy. So, when will we get this mercy? Even till this stage, Brahma-Bhutah stage, you have not attained the mercy of the Lord. So what is the process? '56. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee under my protection reaches the eternal, imperishable abode by my grace. 56 shloka number. We don't have time to recite, but such beautiful shlokas. So here see. Sarva karmani api sada kurvano madvyapshraya mat prasadad avapnoti shashvatam padamavyayam. So here shashvatam, the eternal, padam, abode, avyayam, imperishable. That abode is described by the Lord here, that you will attain that only through devotional service. Because only devotional service has the ability to attract the mercy of Krishna. And without his mercy, he cannot be revealed completely. Isopanishad says that. A person can perceive God only if the Lord wishes to show it to him. We cannot force God. And only bhakti has Krishna Akarshani, they say. She attracts everybody. Krishna means all attractive. Everybody is attracted to Krishna. But bhakti is that which attracts even Krishna. So now 57. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So why we have got done Nishkama Karma, Karma Yoga, Gyana Yoga, all this, why we have done? To come to the platform of devotional service. 58. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. So when we are trying to do something with our own intellect, with our own capability, is it going to be as perfect as what God does at any point of time? So when a devotee surrenders completely everything, he does everything for God, then God takes his responsibility. It is not his responsibility anymore. So his small effort doesn't matter because that most powerful, most opulent, and most, uh, you know, um, great personality has taken your responsibility. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Says, I am telling you as Paramatma that this entire process is made for satisfying me. Today, if you don't act as per my, don't play your role in my plan, then you will be under the influence of the three modes of material nature, which will force you to act under their influence. 60. Under illusion, you are now declining to act accordingly to my direction, but compelled by work, born out of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Only choice we have is whether we want to serve the three modes of material nature and their influences, or we want to serve the direction of Lord. 61. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. So every Lord is there in everybody's heart, but we don't want to take his direction. We are so carried away by our own inclinations, which are born out of these three modes, that this body is also a product of three modes of material nature, the field of activity. So, but Paramatma is always there. Problem is we don't turn to him. 62. O Shrine of Bharta, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and supreme eternal abode. 62. We will see the translations here. Iti thus they unto Gyanam knowledge Akhyatam described Guhyat than confidential Guhyataram still more confidential Maya by me Maya by me Vimshreya deliberating Etat on this Asashena fully Yathas ichhati, you like that, Kuru perform. So here the Lord is telling Arjuna, this is the peace formula. Without this, there is no peace. Thus, I have explained to you the knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Now take a call. Final. I have told you whatever I had to tell you. Now you decide. You want to fight or you don't want to fight. 64. Because you are my dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction. Why the Lord is speaking uh, this to Arjuna? Because he's a dear devotee. Why the Lord will come all the way and tell? There are so many people, in the material world, but Lord doesn't. Because devotion attracts Lord. Bhakti attracts Lord. And he wants to benefit his devotee. Some call there though. So you are my dear friend. 65. I always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me. Offer your homage to me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is a key memory verse here. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mamevashyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. So this is the formula. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is the path of devotion. Worship me, Archanam. Offer your homage to me, Vandanam. These are all Bhakti Yoga. 66. Sarvadharman parityage mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasisyami masucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. He's saying, I will take your responsibility. The material nature is under me and it cannot do. Just do as I say. All religious practices are for the purpose of attaining the mercy of Lord. And anyone who has attained the mercy of Lord is safe. So abandon everything else. Worship none other. Just surrender unto me and I will deliver you. And if God, they say, if God wants to save somebody, nobody can kill him. And if God wants to kill someone, nobody can save him. Do not fear. 67. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor one who is envious of me. So, any person who is envious, he will not understand this knowledge. It cannot be spoken to that person. For one who explains this supreme secret to devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. Even the people who are at the Brahma-Bhutah stage, they will also gradually, when they follow this process of Bhakti Yoga, they will come to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So people who are already in devotional service, it means that in the previous lives they have performed all the penances, all the austerities, everything. They've got purified sufficiently. Otherwise, nobody will be interested on this path. And these people are very dear to me. I help them. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worship me by his intelligence. So, person who has read this sacred conversation, Bhagavad Gita, he will now understand whom to worship by his intelligence. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So, firstly, a person who has material desires, he will go to higher planets. But a person who desires only God will go to him. Our desire is a ticket to our destination. So 72, O son of Pratha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorances and illusions now dispelled? So Lord asked him, now are you satisfied? Is your ignorance gone? Are you satisfied? Then Arjuna replies, Arjun, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. Please note this. Without Lord's mercy, this knowledge will not come to you. So, Prashanta Devi Mataji, she is the head of VIHG, Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education. And she said, how will you know that God is responding to your desire of true devotion? She said, he will send somebody to guide you. He will come in form of guidance. That is how he reciprocates. Somebody will guide you on the correct path. And one must be, wise enough to recognize this and accept association. Oh, infallible one, my illusion is now gone. So here, Krishna has personally come as guidance to Krishna. But in other forms, he sends a guru. Guru is always a manifestation of our desire. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instruction. Now Arjuna is ready. Otherwise, he didn't want to obey Lord. He was rebellious. No, I'll leave the battle and go. Now the concluding verses, Sanjay is talking. Now Sanjay is narrating all these things to Dhritarashtra. Thus, I have heard the conversation of the two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on the end. So, just by hearing, even Sanjay has got purified. Hair standing on the end is one of the 8 symptoms, symptoms of ecstasy. Tears rolling from eyes, shivering, shaking, hair standing, speech, these are all symptoms of ecstasy one experiences when one comes to realize God. And Sanjay is, my hair is standing on the end by hearing all this knowledge. 75, by mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. He is rejoicing that Vyasadev gave him that transcendental vision to see and experience all this. Very rarely, there are so many millions of live species and somebody will be inclined or get to hear Bhagavad Gita. 76. O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. He is experiencing ecstasy. O son, O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. And then finally, Sanjay concludes, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, and extraordinary power and morality. That is my opinion. So he knows that his master will not like it, but he tells him clearly that the Lord of Lord is present there. There is no chance for your sons winning. Wherever Krishna is there only, wherever there is a devotee like Arjuna, wherever there is Lord like Krishna, there only success will be, opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and also morality. That is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. So with this, we come to the end. So we have seen how the progression of mindset from a fruitive mentality to sthita prajna, liberated state of mind takes place. Animalistic life to a regulated life, sakam karma, then nishkam karma. When you do nishkam karma, you get purified to gain knowledge. And then after gaining knowledge, you perform work in knowledge. And then gradually, when you perform work in knowledge, you come to the stage of bhakti or devotional service, which is transcendental. And this is the only way to attain Lord. So we conclude the Bhagavad Gita today. So I'm happy that you all attended, and I'm eagerly waiting for your testimonials, recorded testimonials. Rashmi Mataji has already sent hers written, though, but a video will help us promote our website. So please send your testimonials to the email ID I have given to you. That will be great help in spreading the message of God, and it is a great service also. So any questions, comments?
Yeah. Mataji, I have a question.
Yes, Mataji.
Since I feel that these days have been very much like full of surprises, roller coaster ride kind of thing, and still I am not satisfied that okay, I have to do my self study also. So I just wanted to know that when again this course will happen, because I will do my study, but again I will be needing some guidance. So how it will go?
Mataji, I will always be in touch, and after this we have detailed study. Like 18 days is not enough to understand Bhagavad Gita.
Not enough.
There are so many aspects to Bhagavad Gita, but definitely some contribution from your side will be expected there, because the temple incurs expenses. So we have the Bhakti Shastri course after this, and we will have other courses also. We will keep you informed, and you can always be in touch with us through my number.
Okay.
And if you are interested, like we have Bhakti Shastri is a set of 4 books actually. Bhagavad Gita, Isopnishad, Nectar of Devotion, that is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Updesh Amrit, Nectar of Instruction. So when you do all these 4 books together, your understanding of Bhagavad Gita will increase manifold. How each and every step of bhakti is connected to what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, how they are so designed.
Because what I have felt that sometimes it's like I want to understand, but something I'm not able to. That I'm able to understand that okay, something is missing from my side, and how to ask that I'm not able to understand that.
No, Mataji, we are always there. We are always
Okay.
there to guide you. And if God permits, maybe someday we will meet also. Because that personal, joy that you experience with devotees, you cannot experience online. It's not possible. So maybe someday, we don't know. God will design it for us. So till then, you're most welcome. You can be in touch. In fact, I was inviting everybody to come to our Rath Yatra. Like we have lovely deities of Jagannath, Subhadra, Baldev in our temple at Kukatpalli, and annually we have the Rath Yatra. It's a big event, and we invite people from everywhere to come and take darshan and be a part of the festivities. Accommodation also is provided, so you're most welcome, and you can always be in touch on the phone. And as and how new courses are beginning, I will send you intimation. I think Rashmi Mataji or Deepika Mataji asked for Hindi Bhagavad
Yeah,
Gita, right?
yeah.
So whenever the
Yes,
Hindi sessions are starting, I will intimate you.
Okay,
Uh,
and we are not in any of the common groups, means we are not connected. So sometimes I feel that, okay, it's like asking other students also that how they are feeling, something like that, out of curiosity. But I don't know anyone, like I'm not connected. So,
Actually, Mataji, WhatsApp groups, because we have such huge number of
yeah,
people
yes,
attending,
yes, yes, yes.
it becomes a little difficult. But the Japa group and all you can join. But of course, you cannot exchange thoughts there. About
Mhm.
this, I will let you know because it's very difficult to manage so many. But individually, you can all connect to me because there are so many people.
Mhm.
And any questions, you can send me a recorded message, or even problems relating to practical life.
Mhm.
I will answer them. No
Okay,
issues.
fine.
We are always there, because this is not a momentary 18-day course and it's over. No, this is an eternal relationship. So any more questions?
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Mataji.
please tell your question.
Yes, Mataji. I was trying to switch on my video, but it's not happening in very bit. Mataji, as we while discussing this chapter 18, in one of the point you said about the baby care. People are not able to take care about the babies, correct? That is one question is there. Uh, Based on my understanding, what I feel, the current situation, people are running behind money because they need the money for the education of their kids, and for the many commitments are there inside the family, and cost is high for everything. Let's
Hmm.
say a person who is earning too much, uh, he 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 will think about putting his kid into a international school. The person who is earning little less, he will think about, okay, I will put into standard school. The person who is earning very less, he will think, okay, I will put into government school. So the status is also there, one of the thing, major criteria. People are looking into the status of their or standard of living, and based on the other families living, they compare their family, and they think, okay, I need to go into that level of family. They start earning more, and they get busy in their family life. Do you think this current living standard or living style is one of condition where people are not able to take care of their babies?
Yes, Prabhuji, because the desires are too many.
Yes.
Prabhuji, you can switch on your video. In fact, everybody can switch on their videos. Let me see you all at least at the end of the course. I have not even seen you people.
So Mataji, in this particular situation, people getting into uh,
Thank you so much.
Mataji, in this situation, people getting into the older style of living will be difficult, correct? Like when I think about my parents, that time, like uh, you can say parents will come from their office by 5:36 and they will be at home with their family. But nowadays it is not happening like that. Nowadays, if we see, people will be working till late night, evening 8:30, 8, 9. When they come to their home, they just have dinner together and then they go to bed. Sometimes Saturday, Sunday also they don't have time. Sunday also they are not able to spend time with their kid. So in this kind of working culture or living style, do you think people will get time for taking care of their baby? And when I
Is
think about the senior citizen, is another story, different story, because now there are people who are not taking care of their parents. They put them in senior citizen home, right? So that is again because of different condition. The person is not having that love and affection towards his parents, or the spirituality towards their parents to take care of them. They put them in the senior citizen home. Do you think these all are going to change in future, or people will come back to the older style of living?
see, Prabhuji, we cannot stop at that, because the current scene is that we are under tremendous influence by material modes of nature. That is why your criteria of good and bad is international school, this school, that school. What is the purpose of knowledge? After gaining all the scientific advancement you have, what are the qualities that your child has acquired? That is what matters. Now, if you look at all these so-called successful people, do they have Steve Jobs, he was one frequent visitor to ISKCON temple. You should know that. And when he died, he realized that everything, God, take away whatever I have, just give me a few more moments of life. He couldn't. So this realization of helplessness, this realization that we are nothing. So when you develop this humility, then you will understand that whatever is designed, whether it's a government school, whether it is your financial condition, whether it is your, the facilities. See, there was this example by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was a devotee, Sridhar Khulbecha. Now comes the criteria for wealth, how to devote time, how to devote money. So this Sridhar Khulbecha, he used to send, I think he used to sell bananas, plantains, and his total earning was 50 paisa. Out of the 50 paisa, he used to give away 25 paisa for Ganga Aarti. And the rest he would offer prasad to Lord, nothing to himself. His hut was so small that, there were holes in that. And his only possession maybe was, you say, not even a lota, a mug, old metal mug in which he used to drink water. That was his only possession. But he was always happy. Why? Because he was connected completely to God. Now our level of happiness, it varies because of our contamination. So even when we have a house, even when our child is going to a good school, we are not happy. But having something or not having something is not the criteria for happiness. That has been proven in Bhagavad Gita. So how are you connecting the people, the children of your house, the old people in your house? So even their happiness is your responsibility, and that happiness will come only when you balance your material life and spiritual life and connect them to God. Whether it is your children, whether it is the old in your house. Like my mother-in-law was there in the last few years of her life. Both my in-laws are bedridden. And because of diabetes, she lost one toe and she was practically blinded. But she could only see blurred, images on the television. And she would not even be able to hear anything. So you know what we did actually, my husband, he provided her a big screen TV and he gave her a remote control. and she would hear Asta channel, everything on 100 volume. So the facility, it is our responsibility. And 24/7, the katha was going on and on and on and on and on. So you have to help others also. Not just that you're bothered, our neighbor is putting in internet. What will happen if you put in an international school? When Steve Jobs left everything and went, your son, your child, you will also have to go. But at end of the day, now instead of that, if you spend some money taking your child to a temple every Sunday and getting him used to serving others, it will help you in your old age also. It will help the society also. If he grows up into a selfish person who is only interested in accumulating more money, it is very dangerous to you and the society also. It is like, giving gun to a terrorist. What kind of advancement are you talking about? Education is important. You have to educate your children, but not necessarily in an international school. And when Sridhar Kholbeja could be happy in just that one mug, if we are not happy, who is responsible for that?
This thought came to my mind because few months back, one of my friend was telling me I am too much in. Look, he is just taking too much of loans or credit. I said why? Then he said for car and putting my son into international school. I asked why you put your son into international school when you don't have this much money. Why you have taken the car? You not going to have this much money. He said, seeing all my managers are put their kid into international school, so I have to put. Otherwise, it is a bad feeling for.
So, matlab, whatever you are doing
Following.
is to,
Yes.
is to please others.
It's correct, correct. That's true.
I mean, working so hard to get validation from others about you.
Yes. So that is.
Actually, yeah, validation of Krishna matters. No one else matters.
So then
This
I
is the
suggested,
truth.
yeah, actually I suggested him, see, whatever you are putting there in international school, that is also CBSE, and a standard school is also CBSE. Even if central board school also CBSE. So why? What is the difference? Only difference is you pay more, you get some extra benefits. That's all. Nothing else is there. Then what he said, okay, coming year is going to bring back his kids to the standard school, normal school. That's all. I don't know why.
You
There is
take pressure
yes,
because you want to take pressure.
correct.
Nobody, like I have seen, mm, people take huge loans to send their children to foreign countries to get that one visa, and they hypothecate their properties, and many cases I have seen that after going there, the children don't get jobs, and this hypothecated property is auctioned by the bank. And then again, the children are coming back and starting from, grassroots like that. So why you want to increase your problems? It is a choice. So the Bali Maharaj, when he's performing that Ashwamedh Yagya, Vaman Dev comes. He has already acquired all the 14 planetary system by that time, Bali Maharaj. And he is planning to acquire, go beyond that as per Shukracharya. So Vaman Dev, he comes and asks for that 3 steps of land. So Bali Maharaj tells him that, why are you asking me only 3 steps? You are such a wonderful Brahma. Ask more. He doesn't know what God is. So Vaman Dev tells him, no, I want only this much. Because if a man is not satisfied with what he has, nothing in the entire universe can satisfy him. These are words of Vaman Dev. He is actually indirectly telling Bali Maharaj, you are not satisfied with what you have. You are also trying to acquire the place of others. Brahma-ji, higher planetary system, higher, more, more, more. He's performing that yajna for that purpose. So even if you get everything, you will not be satisfied. Satisfaction has got nothing to do with what you possess. That Sridhar Kolbecha has proved to us. One mug, he's satisfied. Satisfaction is a product. Okay, some people don't get it in spite of spending millions. And some person gets it just by serving the Lord or, offering. Who is wiser? Tell me. A person who spends more for that product still doesn't get it, or a person who spends nothing and still gets it. Who is wiser? So at the end of the day, whatever work we undertake is for happiness and satisfaction. Whether you put him in international school, whether you have a Mercedes, whether you have a helicopter, whether you have a Sputnik, the ultimate thing that you should experience is happiness and satisfaction. If you don't experience that before you die and you are harassed by the loans and harassed by your material desires and you are running, taking anti-stress pills, you are not getting enough sleep, you have lost all peace of mind, what will your state of mind be at the time of that? You will have had communicated so many diseases because of stress by the time you die. Teach your children how to serve. This will help them more than any other international school. The humanity needs people who do selfless service. The society will degrade if this aspect is lost. It starts with your family, community, country, and then later, most selfless is to serve only God's purpose. So I hope that answers your question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, the thing here is, what actually he did, he did not record to purchase the car. He had already an old car, very old car, his dad's car. But unnecessary, he purchased a new big car, which cost him too much. He got into debt. And that is one of the biggest reason where he is in trouble. By seeing others, he did all this.
Yeah,
Purchase the car.
that is the choice you make to
Yes.
associate or associate means uh, you accept what others say, associate. So any more questions, comments?
Mataji, in future, if you want to connect, how we can connect?
My number is there with you.
I have one number, I don't know whose number. I will just test you. Uh, please check it.
You can always connect, Prabhuji.
Okay.
So it's okay, Prabhuji. I'll see the number. Any more questions or comments?
Mataji, I don't have any questions. I have one experience. I have started hearing plants, that curiosity, that gaining knowledge, like gaining knowledge. So I searched in Google, two tips. I got it. Uh,
Prabhuji, can
practical
everybody
experience.
mute? I cannot hear Mataji. Yeah, Mataji, please tell now.
Sorry to trouble. I don't have any questions, but I want to share one experience after hearing you. Like now, 18 days I am hearing you. So you are my guru. So Hare Krishna Mataji, and uh, Gujarati mein we say like Hare Krishna Mataji, and Hare Krishna Mataji. So I want to share one experience. Like now, 18 days I am hearing you. So you are my guru. So Hare Krishna Mataji, and Gujarati mein we say like
There's a glitch.
मैं आपके चरण स्पर्श करती हूँ. Kind of
Hari
searching
bol
for the
Mataji,
gift of
Dandvat
forgiveness.
Pranam. I am your servant
Now,
at your service. I am nobody, but I think it is Srila Prabhupada who's guiding you through me. I am not so elevated to take that position, but since my Guru has engaged me in your service, I am doing it. So, my humble obeisances to all of you. You are pious souls who are inclined towards Bhagavad Gita. So, definitely you are purified. And I just hope to serve you in the future also. So, Mataji.
yes, Mataji. So I for my kids too. So I've searched it and I've got the 18 days course for my kids too. I just want
Great.
you to understand because last I have just informed that like April month we have went to the Vrindavan Barsana for our family trip.
Yes. Mataji, there is
So
some.
that the ISKCON school is there.
Yeah. ISKCON school is there, definitely.
Yes. So I inquired for the admission in the school. So but the admission is full. So for the next year we are planning to uh, do so. Not for the education. I think education is as of now is no not much important, but the knowledge, uh, the spiritual knowledge is also must
Yeah.
because in this Kaliyuga,
You see, the regulation of your children today, they don't get up early in the morning. They are always on television or phones. Why? Because of the exposure. And all this exposure, you are actually helping the material nature to increase our influence of the three modes of material nature by giving all these facilities. Actually, they will associate with this and they will develop more desires, like Satyanand Prabhuji's friends. Because of the influence and others, they will develop desires which will ruin them. They will get into a financial mess. They will earn more, work hard, like, day in, day out. And so that is why people don't understand that these qualities are the true knowledge that, and if you don't inculcate these, at least your children, uh, in our this international school which is there in Vrindavan, the children, they get up, they are not given any fancy clothes, there is standard dhoti and all. They get up at 4, take bath, they become so tough, such a regulated life they have, and you see their faces because they're having food, sattvic food, fruits and vegetables, they're so red, bright, and they are not experiencing any moroseness because they don't have a pencil box which the other child has. That's such a healthy environment. Even the kings, they used to send their children to gurukuls for this reason, because in the palace there were so many distractions. So they would send them away because that is the right education. No distractions, no temptations, no scope for sense gratification. So if your children are happy, your family is inclined, please do so. And some of the children there have they have qualified for IITs also. The standard is very good. Not just that they will inculcate spiritual things, materially also they are going to educate your child. Now, whether he wants to enter the material grasta life or not enter, that is your child's choice after taking that knowledge. Whether he wants to dedicate his life to his spiritual advancement or material advancement, both the ways are clear. So you should, if your family agrees, it's a very good this thing. And even if you don't get admission there, Mataji, if you are in your existing condition, please visit temples, engage your children in service there. they will learn, because there are not many ISKCON schools like that and the admissions are limited. But if you don't get, no harm, but just make it a practice to visit temples, especially on Sundays or festivals. The entire Sunday you have to go out and all. For 1 hour, if you take them for a class to the temple, take out some time, let them read, let them see other devotees work there and serve there. They will just learn a lot by observing. Association is very important. So even if you don't get admission, no harm, just give them this association, let them hear, let them taste prasad, and keep them away. Usually, I think parents are more responsible. I have seen people carrying their kids to places like pubs and restaurants and all kinds of places. They carry their kids. What will that child learn? What are you exposing that child to? You become what you appreciate. Let them appreciate the temple. Let them appreciate the devotees, their qualities. They will get them. So thank you all so much for giving me a patient hearing and giving me an opportunity to serve you all. We part on this note, but we are not parting permanently. We can always be in touch. And if you all want to come for the Rath Yatra, you're most welcome to Hyderabad. Your accommodation and prasadam will be arranged. And we all can meet too. So till then, I'll wait for your testimony.
Mataji, I
Yes,
have
yes.
texted you that number. Can you just confirm it in chat? In chat, Zoom chat.
Zoom chat.
Yes.
How do you go to the chat? Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. 813. Wait. This is again ISKCON Kukatpalli number, Prabhuji.
okay.
Maybe one of the devotees, because this number belongs to the temple.
Okay.
So if you are communicating with me also, it is this temple, ISKCON Kukatpalli.
Okay.
But of course, if you tell my name, then that at the temple also they will know that this person is with this maataji.
Okay. Okay, Mataji. I will
So
ask them.
you're most welcome. Yeah, yeah.
Mataji, as you said, no, taking kids to temple on Saturday or Sunday. Actually, I have seen that that is really good thing because I also learned many things by visiting Saturday, Sunday, listening to Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. After that, having the prasadam and serving there in the inside the ISKCON,
Hmm.
which actually gave us lots of lesson related to seva, how to do seva to Lord Krishna, how to. Uh, there are many other things which we learned.
Hmm.
That is true actually.
So
Even if
you
yeah.
see, learning, they say that by the age of 8, a child can learn about 8 languages perfectly. That much intellect we have. And most of the things that we learn is by observing. We don't, like, earlier in the play school, when my children were there, and the teachers, they used to talk, that just by observing the child, you can know what is going on in his house. Because the child will learn so many things by just observing the things around him. So you must change the environment, the association, right at the young age. You must have heard, Amarendra Das Prabhuji. His parents used to live in Dubai, a Muslim country. But there also they used to take them, drive so far every Sunday and take their children, and just look at the product. He's at a very good, highly educated MS in the US, and he's materially also qualified, and at the same time, just hear him. So much knowledge, so much insight, so much wisdom, so much composure. Where these quality, where I don't see these qualities in today's generation. What about the qualities? So thank you so much. Welcome to the world of Krishna consciousness. We will keep in touch. Thank you so much. Till then. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण।
Krishna Mataji.